Well, good evening, West Ham fans. Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. If you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. Bit of a different setting than the usual button bunker. But David Moyes has just finished his press conference ahead of the Europa League game against SC Freiburg. It was taken part in Germany. The team left this morning, I believe. Mr. Moyes has just finished talking to the press, as well as Tilo Kehrer. For all the European games, you tend to have you'll have a first team player and also David Moyes as well. So let's quickly go and talk about what's been said. Let's talk about Tilo and his and what he was having to say. So he was asked lots of questions. Obviously, the first one's about playing in Germany, and in terms of playing more than anything in Europe. And he says, we're very excited. We have memories from last year, and everybody at the club knows how special it is to play in Europe for us and the staff. We have the same feeling. We want to take the group stage seriously, and that's music to many West Ham's fans' ears. On Freiburg, he said, I know them pretty well. I grew up not too far from here, and it's a local club that tries to grow from within. They have a good discipline structure that is very good for the young academy players in the region. They have a clear identity and have had a few consecutive years of playing in the upper tiers of the Bundesliga and in Europe too. And indeed, we had Alex on from Sportcast Freiburg yesterday, and we put it on the channel this morning. Great interview, really interesting in terms of what he was saying with respect to just Freiburg in general, really, in terms of how they're a little bit same as West Ham, sort of a similar trajectory in terms of last few years they've been having some good success and getting into Europe, but quite a few years in the wilderness, so to speak, of which, similar to us. Obviously, there'll be a sellout crowd at the ground tomorrow, but there won't be any West Ham fans in attendance. Asked about that, Tilo basically said, if I get it up, there we go. Having our fans with us and supporting us, especially on away games, always gives a little extra boost. Playing away means the majority of the fans are against you, and not having our fans tomorrow is unfortunate for us. But we have to be professional and adapt to the situation. We've all played during the pandemic when there was no fans at all, and we've adapted to that. We need to do the same in this game. And obviously, it's slightly different in the fact that there'll still be thousands of home fans chanting. We know how crazy the Bundesliga fans are as well, so it'll be a hell of an atmosphere and a hostile atmosphere as well. So personally, I think Moyes is going to be going quite strong. Freiburg are no pushovers. They've been likened to the Bundesliga Brighton, so that's sort of roughly where they are, really, in terms of their size. In terms of Tilo, he's obviously looking forward to playing back in Germany for the first time in a long time, and obviously there's a lot of competition for places. Asked about that specifically, he said when it came to competition for places, I would call it a very balanced squad. We have a chemistry that encourages competition in a very healthy way. Everyone has their own qualities that they try to bring to the team, and the team can profit from each of us in that regard. I would call it a pretty special group in that regard. And it is special. It is special in that respect, in the terms of having lots of different options and lots of different, potentials in terms of what Moyes could go with. And then obviously Tilo was finished, and then Mr. Moyes took over. And speaking about team news, you saw the thumbnail. In terms of team news, he basically said Mikau hasn't travelled. He has an injury. Aaron Cresswell is still out, and Ben Johnson has picked up a little injury as well. We're also aware that, and it wasn't mentioned by Moyes, that Jarrod Bowen also had a slight knock from the Sheffield United game. So does that mean Emerson comes in and starts and sort of obviously continues on from his fine form in the Premier League 11? Possibly. Does it mean Tilo Kehrer maybe goes to left back and Soufal plays right back? Who knows? Does it mean maybe that Agard plays left back and Mavropanos comes in to the centre back partnership, or Bonner stays there? And there's options, but obviously no Cresswell, no Ben Johnson who was deputised for the left back position when we played TSC a couple of weeks ago. So we'd be interested to see what Moyes does on that left-sided position. Asked about Freiburg themselves, he said, I think we're playing against a really good team. We've had excellent success in the last couple of years in the Bundesliga. I think they've got stability, and that goes a long way, which shows at this club they're certainly grown and got themselves in a good position. And as Alex alluded to, for the Freiburg fan, they would have scouted us thoroughly, so they know all about us, which isn't very hard, as I said. I think I could probably scout them in about 20 minutes in terms of how West Ham will probably play. And so there's going to be it's going to be a really good game. And actually, they've got arguably the best set piece taker in the Bundesliga. I want to say one of the best in Europe. We've got one of the best in the Premier League, so aka one of the best in Europe. It could be a bit of a Mexican standoff, really. I've likened it to that sort of that Spider-Man meme where he's like, "I'm Spider-Man, I'm best free kick taker. No, I'm best free kick taker." So we'll see what happens there. He was asked also about no fans, no West Ham fans in attendance, officially, I'll say. And he says we've had brilliant support away from home, so I'm disappointed we're not able to get there. We've had some amazing games with them last year, and we know tomorrow will be tough, and it will be tough without the away fans there because they're fantastic, and the travelling away fans are brilliant. But obviously, this is the first away game in Europe since obviously that night in Prague, and asked specifically about the incentive of winning that and how that sort of drives him on in terms of continued success. Moyes said the excitement of coming to Europe and playing these games and giving these fans the away games, although not tomorrow, David. We're now a European club. I take so much pride that we've been able to do that, and we certainly don't take it for granted. All the games in Europe have been really, really difficult, and I think over the time, all football in Europe has improved greatly. And it is, I mean, it's, as I said, third time ever in our history we've got into Europe, and we're enjoying it. Maybe not potentially next year, unless Carabao Cup, I think. So, just resuming there when my Wi-Fi decided it would kick back in. So as I was saying, yeah, it's something we shouldn't take granted. I think next year might be a bit tricky to get back into Europe for a fourth time, but if we did, we'd have had a fantastic season, whether that's in the league or winning something. So we'll see what happens come May. And then lastly, he was asked about Edson Alvarez and how well he's adjusted into life at West Ham, and he was very, very complimentary on him. He just said he's done incredibly well and started fast. He's a really good man to have around, a really good professional, and settled in really well. I think coming into the last 15 minutes of games, he found it physically demanding, but I have to say he's doing really, really well. And he's doing really, really well, which goes against Moyes' principles in terms of bringing in Premier League ready players. Yes, granted that JWP has come in and hit the ground running, but so is Alvarez as well. And maybe he'll feature tomorrow, maybe not. We'll wait and see. We'll be doing a live starting 11 show, or predicted 11 show, well into the early afternoon. Obviously, it's a 5:45 kickoff tomorrow, so don't let that forget you. Make sure you put a reminder on. We'll be early from very early time to get you ready for that game, particularly as a lot of you aren't officially going over there, although there may be one or two, I'm sure, in the crowd. So you'll be tuning in. So please make sure you do. Please make sure you join us. We'll have all the watch-alongs and highlight shows, and we'll have maybe some little prizes, giveaways at half time as well for some signed memorabilia and stuff. But until then, have a great evening. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. Come on, you bloody Irons. Much love. Bye-bye.